Some time ago, I made a video about giving new life to some old speakers, and I didn't expect much from that video. But it turned out so well that I thought, I think people might want some tips on other devices to make life easier, and maybe give new life to items that don't work anymore. So, if you, like me, have a bunch of remote controls at home and get stressed out by how many there are, or maybe you end up struggling, pressing the same button over and over, like a madman, trying to squeeze one more drop of energy from the battery, or even checking if it doesn't work anymore. Today I'm going to show you this. And yes, this is a remote control, but it's universal and it fits on the tip of your finger. Hey, detailed engineering, think about the following scenario. Today we have electronic devices that are already a few years old. The remote doesn't work as well as it did when the device was new, and you have to keep searching online for a remote that works. This could be a TV, an air conditioner, or an older radio that you like to listen to at home. In my case, I needed to control something very specific, and this little guy here helped me in that situation. And then it ended up being useful for much more interesting things. It all started when I realized that recording videos by myself was getting harder and harder. If you didn't know, before my brother moved abroad, he was the one behind the cameras, helping me with the recordings and vice versa. Every time he was recording, I was behind the cameras. But when I had to do everything by myself, things got a little harder. I don't know if you know, but it's tough. When you try to press the camera button, run into the frame, and when you finally start recording, you realize it's crooked and out of focus. Or with that expression like, is it going to work this time? I was stuck in that cycle, and the more I tried to speed up the process, the more time I lost. That's when I thought, is there a simple way to control the camera remotely without needing expensive equipment? While searching online, I saw that the camera that's recording me now had its own remote control. And guess what? Here in Brazil, it costs part of my kidney, plus taxes. But by digging deeper on the internet, I ended up finding this little guy here, which is a universal USB-C remote control. In theory, it would only be used to control the camera's focus and recording. But in practice, I had no idea how useful this thing I just discovered would be. When the device arrived, my only expectation was to test if it worked as a remote control for the camera. And it delivered what it promised and worked perfectly. It comes on this little keychain where you connect it to your phone, download its own app, and that's it, just choose. The hundreds, no, actually thousands of brands and devices that it can control. And that's when I found my camera's remote in the app, and that's it. Today I start and stop recording with a click on my phone. I finally managed to record without having to run back and forth. And before you say this is just another sponsored video and that I'm being paid, I'll tell you right now, no, this video is not sponsored. I don't even know the brand of this thing because I threw the box away and I only have the link where I bought it. But, like in any good engineering story, the most interesting part is never what you expect to happen, but what you discover along the way. It was only later that I realized it wouldn't just work as a remote for my camera, but as a universal remote. All of this because actually it's an infrared emitter, the same type of signal that many old remotes still use today. That raised a question at the time. What kind of device could I control with it? And it only took a few seconds for me to confirm that the old TV in the living room, the one that always took about 4 seconds to respond with the original remote, after pressing the power button hard, instantly obeyed the command from my phone. The air conditioner remote, which sometimes gets lost here in the studio, can also be controlled by the phone. And then it hit me. If it worked with a TV and an air conditioner, what else could I control out there with this little guy? Here, my phone and yours become a universal remote for practically everything. TVs, sound systems, air conditioners, projectors, ceiling fans, robots, vacuums, and even my simple recording camera. And that opened a new door to another situation I had been facing for months, a silent yet chilly battle. The air conditioning war at the office. You know that coworker who comes to work wearing a thick sweater? And instead of taking off the sweater, goes straight to the air conditioner and sets it to the lowest possible temperature. the kind of person who acts. As if the air conditioner actually needed to preserve meat like a refrigerator, instead of keeping human beings comfortable at a pleasant temperature. And I used to sit right there, under the air conditioner, and while some people were comfortable, I spent the whole day with my teeth chattering. The question I always asked was, why are there people who think that 16 degrees is an acceptable temperature to work in? Then, one day, almost like an epiphany, I remembered that my phone was now a universal remote. I took my little USB-C universal keychain, opened the app, discreetly pointed it at the air conditioner, and click. Magically, people couldn't understand how the air conditioner went from an incredible 16 degrees to 22 degrees. I was finally able to work without freezing, and best of all, no one knew who was adjusting the temperature. I just watched in silence while the Arctic Air crowd wondered if the air conditioner was broken. But the question that really stayed in my mind was, how could something so small solve so many problems at the same time? And the more I explored the device, the more uses I found for it. It became my ally in the studio, in the office, in the living room, and even during trips, in hotels. For example, have you ever come across a TV that seemed to have been made before Wi-Fi, or an air conditioner whose remote control probably retired years ago? So you can see that this mini USB-C universal remote has many uses. Even if you wanted to act like a fifth grader, went to a mall and just started turning off the TVs in the stores, that's pretty bad, right, Igor? That's right, with this here I didn't need anything else because my phone did everything. And all of this without needing batteries in the remote. A simple detail, but it makes a difference when you've already lost countless hours looking for batteries in mysterious drawers. Of course, this made me reflect. Why do we still underestimate small technological solutions so much? Many times we're so busy looking for complex tools that we forget to look at simple solutions that are already within our reach. In my case, it started with the need to record videos in a more practical way. I looked for a solution to a specific problem and found a tool that solved several. And I'll be honest, I don't know the brand of this remote because it doesn't have any logo, and I threw the box away. If you want to take a look too, my tip is that it has options for both Android and iOS. In other words, even though both are USB-C, what works on Android doesn't work on iPhone, and vice versa. When I started using this remote to adjust the office air conditioning, I thought it would just be a useful gimmick. But over time, I realized that the environment became more comfortable for everyone, not just for me. It's interesting to think that such a simple device can even regulate the temperature, literally. In the end, this little universal remote changed not only the way I record my videos, but also the way I interact with technology in my daily life. Since it comes like as a keychain, I carry it everywhere, and it's no wonder I keep it with my house keys. It showed me that smart solutions can come from where we least expect them. And maybe the most important question to wrap up this video is exactly this. In how many areas of our lives are we struggling with problems that could be solved with something as simple as this? If you've ever gone through something similar, whether during recordings or in a freezing office, tell me about it in the comments. Who knows, maybe your story will become the topic of the next video. If you've made it this far and enjoyed the video, take the opportunity to subscribe. If you're not subscribed, leave your like and turn on the notification bell. And seriously, this is a personal recommendation from me. It's really worth having one. And do you already have a universal remote at home? Have you ever thought about having a fingertip-sized remote or already have one? Share your thoughts on this video below. Want more videos like this on the channel? Check out 2 interesting video options on the side. And one of them is the video where I showed the Bluetooth receiver, which will give new life to your old sound system. And if you haven't seen it, it's worth watching. If you'd like to support us, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and consider becoming a channel member. Thanks, engineering enthusiasts. Take care. See you in the next video.